Hi, salam, this is Helina from Eat Ethio. Today I'll be cooking an Ethiopian fish dish called asawet for Amaka Studios Our World Festival. Alright, so these are the ingredients that we need. Some onions, tomato, garlic, lots of ginger. I chose monkfish for this dish, but you can choose any white fish that's not too flavorsome. I mean, not what I mean flavorsome, but like neutral flavor. You could choose, traditionally this is like cooked with tilapia or catfish, but you could choose like some bass, any white fish basically, halibut, all that kind of thing. And an Ethiopian spice blend called berbere, and cold press, rapeseed oil, fresh tomato, but you could also use tin tomato, but I prefer fresh tomato. And then also on the side, we will be cooking an Ethiopian kale dish called gome. All right, so before I do anything, I'll be boiling the tomato. So let me just pop the tomatoes in. Okay, let's pop this in. So, and I will be marinating the monkfish with some lime zest, and I will be putting some, that looks great. I'll be putting some lime juice as well. Looks great. And some ginger. Oops. And mix it, and a little bit of sea salt and pepper, freshly ground pepper, and mix that. I cut it in big chunks because that's how my mom used to cut when she cooks this fish, and I really like also when you serve it, you could serve it moreish and people could just tear it apart themselves, but you could also chop it smaller than this. So I'll pop this in the fridge for half an hour. If you have time, put it in advance for an hour or so, so when it marinates it's really nice and it soaks up the good flavor. Pop it in the fridge. And while my tomato is boiling, I will be chopping the onions. So Ethiopian cuisine uses a lot of onion, and a lot of time is spent by, chopping onions, lots of them. So you'll have to get used to chopping onions if you're cooking Ethiopian food often. Chop the onion finely. Okay, I've already have chopped onion ready, so let me see the tomatoes boiling. Okay, still boiling, so I could keep chopping more onion. Okay. Tomatoes boiled nicely, so I'll take it out. And let it cool. Putting it in the cold water. Okay. So the onions are ready now. Put the pot. Add the oil first. This is roughly 5 tablespoons of rapeseed, cold pressed rapeseed oil. I'll let it heat a little bit. Okay, and then I'll put the onion. I'll put roughly around 3 medium-sized onions. I used 1 white and 2 red, but it's up to you what you want to use. So I'll saute that, and while that is nicely cooking, I'll turn it a little bit down. Yeah, while that's cooking, I will prepare the garlic. So I've already peeled some garlic. I'll put roughly equal amount of ginger, because I want this dish to taste a bit gingery. It really, really reminds me of my mom cooking this dish. Although shouldn't put as much barberry that I'm putting for this dish, but I'm going to a different take on this dish, a bit spicy than usually it's served mild. So I'll pop the ginger and garlic in my grinder. I'll put a little bit water to help it grind. Actually, I'll just put a little bit ginger more. Already, I actually have some already prepared, so I'll just check this. more cooking. So while that's happening, I will blend my tomatoes. It's nicely cold here. Just take it out. Right. Okay, that's good to go. Let's check the onions. So that's been around 5 minutes or so cooking, 10 minutes. So I'll put some garlic and ginger blend, putting lots, because I don't want the dish to have any fishy taste. I want it to taste fresh, gingery, spicy, and quite light, but at the same time rich. I don't know how it gets there, but trust me. So like it needs a little bit of the oil. It's done. Okay, I'll leave it for a couple of minutes. Okay, so while that is cooking, I will like to say a little bit about the star of the dish, apart from the ginger and the monkfish, obviously. This is an Ethiopian spice blend called berbere. So berbere has around 18, 17 to 20 different types of spices and herbs blended perfectly together to give this incredible depth of flavor to a dish. And also obviously the spices and herbs have incredible healing power to our body. My spice is made handmade in Ethiopia by my mom for me, but I suggest you reach out to Ethiopian mini markets around where you live to get authentic Ethiopian spice berbere. From my experience so far, like whenever I tried berbere from Western supermarkets or recipes out there online that are, making berbere spice quite accessible, but it doesn't taste the same so far. So I suggest please reach out Ethiopian mini markets for this recipe. So let me see this now. This looks great. Okay, so I'll put now the tomato, the blended tomato. That's roughly, I think, medium size, 3 tomatoes, but I think, like you see the small one, I think I used around 5 or so. If you're using a tin tomato, I would suggest 1, around 400 grams. Okay, I'll leave that cooking. Okay, so let's check this out. Looks great. Okay, so I'll put the barberry in now. Depending on your spice tolerance level, put something between 4 to 6 tablespoons of barberry. Let's see. Actually, I'll just add a little bit more. As I don't mind it a bit more spicy. Okay, so let that cook, marinating for 20 minutes, half an hour. And while that's cooking, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prepare the side dish, which is an Ethiopian dish called gomen. I find it like the closest thing that comes to gomen in, Western supermarket or anywhere you are is either cavello nero, or they call it dinosaur kale as well, I guess, or kale, normal kale, or collard green as well. But I always prefer this cavello nero. So for this dish, what you need is very few things. I'm just going to use for this dish, I'm going to use, garlic, and I will use, just garlic is fine, but I'm going to use some of the ginger that I already blended with the garlic as well. So olive oil and sea salt, and at the end I will be adding Oh, where did the pepper go? Chili pepper. Oh yeah, here. And I'll just cut this, and just at the end I'll put this in, but it depends on you. You don't have to put it as well. So I've already washed it, so what you do is you just tear out some. I love the sound, the crunchy sound that it makes. Oops. Okay. Okay, that's ready. Let's check out the Burberry sauce. This looks great. I mean, usually I would be adding more spices, like Ethiopian spice called ጥቁር አዝሙድ and ነጭ አዝሙድ. But for this recipe, just to make it accessible, I'll keep it simple. So I think the Burberry spice by itself, since it has like around 20 different ingredients, is plenty more for this dish. So that's cooking. While that's cooking, I can just take out the monkfish and from the fridge, and I will say a little bit story of this fish dish. Okay. Right. Okay, so the fish looks great. It's been marinating. Yeah, so obviously, you know, hopefully you would have sourced this fish from your fishmonger and it's sustainably sourced. Like traditionally, not traditionally, I mean, growing up, I used to live in near a lake city. And I remember growing up, like, fish day is when we hear fishmonger going around and, you know, shouting, fish, 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 asa, 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 asa. And then if you're in the mood for asa, you just be calling him, and then he will come, and then he would butcher it. I guess you would say butcher it for fish. Oh no, is it butcher it? Yeah, fillet, yeah. And then, you know, you will have it all fresh, and it's one of my favorite day. It's not often, it's not every day that happens, so it's quite like a celebratory dish when it happens at home. And my mom always cooks this dish incredibly, amazingly. So this one would be like closer to the catfish dish that she would be cooking. She cut them like this in a chunk and marinated in ginger. So it's quite like very gingery, very spicy, and at the same time fresh. And yeah, hopefully you get that kind of vibe and texture when you're cooking your dish. Okay, let's see this. This looks great. I feel like I want to leave it for another 5 minutes, because once I put the fishmonger, you do not want to overcook this because it gets rubbery. So once I put it, it's like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm not going to overcook it. So I leave this Burberry sauce to cook a little bit longer so that it doesn't, the spice doesn't burn your mouth, but actually you get the nice flavor out of it. So I'll just put this on the side, and I'll cook the cow dish. Okay. So I'll put some olive oil, roughly around 2 tablespoons. Should be enough. Just enough to coat pan. And a little bit garlic and ginger, but just a couple of garlic crush is enough for this dish. But since I have ginger and garlic, why not? Okay, so while that's happening, I mix that. And then I put my kale slowly, mix it. And then the rest. Mix it. A little bit of salt. It's a very easy dish, but incredibly satisfactory to eat. And I'll put a little bit of hot water and then cover it and let it steam for a while. Okay, let's check out this dish. Oh, got some. Looks great. I'll add a little bit of hot water, around like, just to give it a little bit of saucy feel. Okay. All right, so I think this is cooking nicely as well. I'll just leave it a little bit, 2 minutes, because I want it to be not overcooked, but a little bit crunchy, but not too crunchy as well. So, it's splashing everywhere. All right, so I think I can put on the monkfish. Smells incredible because of the ginger and the lime zest and the pepper and the salt. It's just perfect. So I don't want to stir it too much, but I'll just tuck it in. And cook it for around 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. I'll check it. And let's see this. This looks perfect. You can take a little bit and taste it. Perfect. So what I will do is, you don't have to do it. I'll stop this so that it just steams. I'll just add some chili pepper. Perfect. And I'll take it out from the heat. This could go. Okay. So it's almost serving time now. Let me just clean this. While that's finishing up the next few minutes, I'm just gonna cut some lime for serving. There. And move this away. And okay. Let's check this out. This looks great. I think it should be cooked enough. You can just check it by, yeah, putting a knife in and, oops, sorry about that. Okay, but I'm gonna cheat and add one more Ethiopian spice, which is not in your recipe ingredient list, but if you could find Ethiopian cardamom, you could just buy Ethiopian cardamom and you roast it a tiny bit and then crush it, just like black pepper, and then you can add at the end. It just gives it such an amazing savory flavor. And that's it. So, ready, ooh, smells amazing. Okay, ready to serve. I'm gonna put the kale in here. Looks amazing, smells amazing. And a little bit of sauce. I don't want to overcook it, so I'll stop it. Put this in. Just gonna put a little bit of this and some celery, parsley. Just to give it some kind of herby and fresh taste, and a little bit lime for whoever prefers. So I'm serving it with Ethiopian injera, which is fermented like a sourdough method, but for more days, 3 to 4 days. And then, and it's also gluten-free. So it's incredibly healthy and it's really good for you. And it's quite sour because of the fermentation. So, and it's very light as well, like you see it, because it's baked on a flat pan on a circular manner. So, and it's quite spongy as well. So when you're putting any sauce, it soaks it up very well, and also goes super well with spicy dishes as well because of the sourness and the spiciness together. It's incredible. And you eat it by hand, which is a plus because obviously your whole senses are engaged. So it's quite natural to eat that way as well. So it's a great experience for those who's never ate Ethiopian food before. And then I'll put a little bit of kale in here on the side. And what you do is, and you could, if you want, I mean, obviously it's marinated for a long time and it's spicy, it doesn't need too much lemon. And then, so what you do is like you take an injera and then you tear and you dip in and a little bit of that. And then you roll it. And then this is called gursha. You feed yourself. Or you can also feed other people. Enjoy. I hope you really enjoy this recipe and it inspires you to cook more Ethiopian food. Thank you, Amaka, for this opportunity. Bye.